Okay, good evening, everyone. We are live. We're good to go. How many of us are in the room? It's going to be an interesting session this evening. Fantastic, fantastic. Keep coming in, keep coming in. We're ready to go. We're touching on an interesting point this evening. Okay, who's ready? So, tonight we're dealing with the success code. And before I go into it, I'll just quickly do a bit of a recap of what we touched on in the last session. Not so much, but just to summarize the fact that we run on a set of codes in our lives, and those set of codes determine the outcomes of our lives. If we run on failure codes, they give us outcomes that result in failure. And if we run on success codes, they give us outcomes that result in success. So as we go right into it, we've touched on a bit of the failure codes last week. And if you missed it, I recommend that you go back and check it out. And if you are back in the room for success codes, you are in for a treat, you're in for a good time. And let me see you from the chats as you join in. Let me know you're in the room and we're about to get the show on the road. Okay? Yeah, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Okay, let's get right into it. Now, before we talk about the success codes, I need to let us all in on a bit of backstory, how these codes come about and how do they affect the things that we do. Good evening, everyone. I'm super excited. I can see your chats today, and today is going to be much more exciting, and we're going to have more energy in the room. But first of all, let's break it down a bit because the whole essence of the new me in 100 days is not so much about the goals that you want to achieve. Don't worry, it's a given. You're going to achieve those goals. But it is so much about the person that you become when you achieve those goals. Because if you achieve a goal and it doesn't change you, it doesn't transform you, doesn't move you into a new version of yourself, you might not be able to sustain those goals. But you want to find yourself in a situation whereby, as you are evolving into a better version of yourself, you are also transforming the world around you by the goals that you achieve, the results that you attract, the level that you get into, and the bigger goals that you get to set. If your goals were the size of a bicycle before, by the time you achieve a bicycle, it is no longer a goal anymore. You want to go for something bigger. And that helps you to say, you know what, let me aim for an automobile vehicle. And when you get an automobile, it no longer becomes an aspiration because that one is already in the bag. Then you say to yourself, you know what, let me go for a private jet. When you achieve a private jet, it's no longer a goal anymore. You become a bigger person, and you say to yourself, you know what? Let me go for a cruise liner. Let me go for a ship, and that is the way life works. Human needs are insatiable, so you just need to keep evolving to the better version of yourself. And there is no limit to what you can become. There is no limit to what you can achieve, but you must take it one day at a time and you must expand yourself into the better version of yourself on a single day basis. It should be a daily progress. Every day, you must always strive to be the better version of yourself. That means you must be better than you were yesterday, and tomorrow must be better than you are today, and so on and so forth. So that by the time you aggregate the amount of progress you've made over a long time, you realize that you've actually become a bigger and better version of yourself. And that is what informs the success codes that we're going to be dealing with today. So before we deal about the success codes, let's talk about ourselves because these codes are actually programmed on a hardware. I'm going to be using the analogy of a computer and a human being. So I'm going to be switching back and forth on the analogy of a human being and the analogy of a computer. Last week, when we talked about these codes, I made it clear that the program starts coding in our minds right from the third trimester of our lives. Right from when we're in the third trimester of our lives in our mother's womb, We start encoding our minds with all kinds of things. We are observing, we are learning, we are adapting, we are downloading, and all that. And it continues up till this very day of our lives. Everything that we manifest, everything that we exhibit, everything that we do, the way we behave is a function of the things that we believe. And the things that we believe is a function of the things that we have downloaded over the course of our lives. So if you have wrapped up last week's session to understand that most of the things that have been encoded in our minds have not been the very best, have not given us the result that we actually require, then it's about time that we begin to change those codes. Now, I'm going to be laying the foundation this session on how to begin to change those codes. Because the truth of the matter is you really can't delete the codes. Did you catch that? You can't delete the codes because it's just like formatting a hard drive. If you delete the failure codes that you have in your mind right now, you will crash. It is what you call amnesia. There's a condition where people suffer amnesia, memory loss, and they just don't know themselves. They don't know their names. They don't know the people that used to love them, that they used to love anymore. That is what amnesia means. And nature abhors a vacuum. So, in actual fact, you cannot wipe away the failure codes that you have in your mind. So, what do you do? The only thing that you can do is to replace those failure codes with success codes. And that is the way it works. Nature abhors a vacuum. You can't wipe it out, but you can replace them. And that is what we want to set in motion today as we talk about the successful codes. So let me know if you are ready. I want to see a fire emoji in the comment section. Let me know that you're full of fire and you want to begin to download the success codes. All right, let's go for it. Now, the first thing you must have in mind is mental permission. Mental permission. So keep your questions till the end of the session. If we have time, we'll deal with them, but just keep your comments coming. All right? Mental permission. Now, what does mental permission mean? It simply means that any and everything that you want to allow in your life, you will be the one to authorize it. I mentioned last week that the reticular activating system in your brain, it is a very small bulb at the base of your brain. The job of that thing is to filter anything that is unfamiliar to you. It filters it away, tends to. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't get new ideologies into your mind, if you don't get new ideas into your mind, you can't be a better person. Because if you don't know better, you can't do better. So if you continue to recycle the junk that has created a world of failure around you, all you will continue to see is junk. Now, how do you give yourself mental permission? This is the process where you overwrite that reticular activating system in your brain to say, you know what, allow this to pass through. Imagine that you are the celebrant in an event and you put bouncers at the gates. The bouncers at the gates are what you call the reticular activating system. They are the ones that are filtering those that did not get an IV into that event. And you have someone that maybe perhaps there was an oversight, you forgot to give that person an invitation card, and you want that person in your event. But meanwhile, your bouncers are filtering this guy from accessing the event. And it gets to a stage that they escalate the matter to you to say, there's this guy at the gate is disturbing us. He really wants to come in, but we don't want to let him in because he doesn't have an invite. You can step in and say, who is that person? And say, oh, my friend, let him through. Now, what does that mean? You overwrote the process. You bypassed the protocol to say, you know what, security guys, step aside, let this particular person come right through because I want him in my party. That is mental permission. Now, let me explain how it works in real life. Mental permission is what your mind accepts and believes that the body should run with. because everything sits at the base of your mind. All right. When your mind accepts something to run with, it is then that the body can flow. Now, let's go back to our workbook for a minute. At the top left corner of your workbook, you have your vision, whether it's a money vision or a lifestyle vision. The amount or the detail that you put in that vision is a function of your mental permission. Let that sink in for a bit. The amount that you allow to put as a goal is what you have allowed mentally, given the permission to come into your life. For instance, if I ask you to set a goal, the first thing that comes to your mind is, let me set a goal that is realistic, right? Let me set a goal that I know that at least this one is if I hustle, and you give them that Sabino smooth and all that, you're like, I can make this happen. What is happening in your mind during that period is actually the permission that you are giving yourself to achieve that goal. Now, permission is a function of the size of your frying pan, which brings me to the frying pan analogy. And I'll tell you that in a bit. Many of you know this story, but I'll share it all the same for the benefit of those that are just hearing it for the first time. A guy goes to the lake to fish. He was fly fishing. All right. And he tosses his line into the water and he draws out a fish. Whenever he brings out a fish, let's assume this is the fish. He takes a tape rule and measures the length of the fish. If the length of the fish exceeds a particular measurement, he tosses the fish back into the water. But if the fish is within that particular measurement, he puts that fish in the bucket. And it continued like this for a long time. And someone came to the lake. I was watching him. I was like, guy, why are you tossing back the bigger fish into the water and you're only keeping a limited amount of fish in your bucket? And the guy replied, and he said, this measurement that I brought to the lake, this is the diameter of my frying pan at home. So if I catch a fish that is bigger than the diameter of my frying pan, I can't fry it. It is useless to me. So I need to toss it back to the water. Now that sounds ridiculous, right? Because the guy was like, why are you stuck to the limit of the diameter of your frying pan? Why don't you just change the size of the frying pan? Why don't you just get a bigger frying pan? Now, that might sound almost ridiculous as a story, but the truth of the matter is, this is how all of us, every one of us, including myself, rationalize our dreams. Most of the dreams that we have, we actually put a measuring tape to those dreams. And when the dream exceeds a length on the measuring tape of our minds, we toss that dreams back into the universe. And we only contain the kind of dreams that we can accommodate within our comfort zones. Now, what you need to do is to expand the capacity of what you can permit in your mind. So when you begin to increase the size of what you can permit in your mind, then you begin to increase the size of what you can permit in your life. Now, to a large extent, most of us may not know that we are unconsciously running a program that is limiting our mental permission. And we find ourselves in a situation, especially for most of us, and I'm sure if I do a census in the room, you will agree with me. You realize that to a large extent, for those of you that are in business or for those of you that are career professionals, you realize that the kind of income that comes into your life, no matter how well they fluctuate, they never get past a certain limit. How many of us agree to that? If you agree, let me just see your hands up. You find out that the kind of income that you make or the kind of income that you attract For some of us, the kind of income that we attract, the highest amount of income that we attract is 100K. Depending on what kind of business that we do, or depending on what kind of job that we do, we find that it is just difficult to attract more than 100K, no matter how much you try. For some of us, it is 1 million naira. The kind of things that we do, you can get a job of 500K, you can get a job of 700K, you can get a job of 800K, but somehow, some way, it never goes past 1 million naira. I'm in Nigeria, so I'm using naira. So for our global audience, just follow me. For some of us, the kind of income that we can attract into our lives, no matter how much you try, we have not been able to break the 10 million naira ceiling. You've celebrated the first million, you've celebrated the 1.5, 2 million, 5 million, 6 million, and you find out that even no matter how hard you try, the highest you can achieve has never gone beyond 10 million. And for some of us, the highest you've gone is 100 million. And for some of us, the highest that we've done is 1 billion. Now, there are some categories that I am mentioning that are completely alien to some of us in the room, because they're like, me that I can barely afford where I'm going to sleep tonight. They're talking about million, billion. No, it is a function of your mental permission. And that is what we want to unlock tonight. Because if you are going to begin to code success into your wireframe, you need to first fix that wireframe. Let me repeat that. If you are going to encode success into your wireframe, you need to fix the wireframe. If you don't create mental permission to allow a certain level of income to come into your life, you will just realize that no matter how hard you try, even in your best of desires and interests, you just don't break past a particular level. It is not spiritual attack, it is mental permission. For those of us that are spiritual, you go to your spiritual gathering, they pray for you, and they say you're going to get money, you're going to get breakthrough, you're going to get healing, you're going to get success, you're going to get this, and everybody chorus a loud amen. You show so much zeal and zest and fire and desire for those things, and you realize that after all that frenzy, and you go back to the real life, you're back at normal. It's as if all those prayers didn't actually fix the problem. You are still hitting your 10K, you are still hitting your 100K, you are still hitting your 1 million, you are still hitting the cap that you are hitting. The problem is not with the prayers, the problem is with your mind. And that is what we want to unlock tonight. So, first, as I open up the first 20 minutes of this session, and I hope I'll be able to touch on so much because I've got so much to unload, and I don't know if 1 hour is going to be enough. If you want me to keep it at 1 hour, let me know. And for those of you that would think that you want me to exceed 1 hour today, also let me know. But I just want to flow, and I pray that I'll be able to flow as my mind allows. All right. So first, let's get mental permission out of the way. The sucks, anything that you want is accessible, but the catch is in your mental permission. It is whatever you can mentally allow that can come into your mind. Okay, now let me tell you about the mind for a bit, and I'm going to use the analogy of a remote control. I don't have a remote control within my proximity, but let's assume this phone is a remote control. You know the kind of remote controls that you have in your house. You just, the device is out there, just like you're looking at the TV at the background of my screen. You know, you can just press what you have from here, and the channel changes. You press this, the volume goes down, and all that. Now, the remote control. Listen to this carefully. The remote control is not the device. Did you get that? The remote control is not the device. It is called a remote for a reason, because it works away from the device. It works remotely from the device. So, in the event that this remote control is not working, for instance, you're changing the channel, you're pressing, and nothing is happening on the screen. The question is the problem with the device or is the problem with the remote? Okay, some of you are asking me to go on. Let's see how it goes. Now, if you look at it closely, you realize that oftentimes when you try to initiate a command from your remote pad, maybe change of channel, volume up, go to Netflix, go to YouTube, go to this or whatever it is. When you initiate the command and the device does not respond, the first thing you do is to check the batteries, true or false, to check if the device itself is working. And oftentimes we are being programmed to think that this is the device. This is not the device. This is the device. Am I making sense? This is just a remote pad, of which without this remote pad, you can find your way to this device, look for the button wherever it is on this device, and press it and still get your output. Now, why am I saying all these things? Coach Tapo, what exactly are you trying to say with this remote? I'll be there in a minute. The senses that we have, our natural senses of sight, of hearing, of smelling, of tasting, and of feeling, they are not the devices of our lives. They are just remote control. I'll come to that in a bit. I want to break it down bit by bit so that you can get me. The mind is the device. Your natural senses are the remote control. So if you want to access your mind, you use the remote control to get to the mind. But just as you can bypass the remote control to get to the mind, you can also bypass your natural senses to get to the mind. Hmm. Follow me, I'm going somewhere. Let's talk about possibilities and opportunities for a bit. You realize that the eyes, for example, is just one of the tools that the mind uses to see. Because the truth of the matter is, there are people that are blind, but their minds can see. Yes or yes? You agree with me? So the eyes are not actually your sight. The eyes are just a remote control for getting pictures into your mind because it is your mind that sees. So the mind is just using the eyes as one of the tools to see. So it doesn't matter if the mind is blind, it doesn't matter what the eyes are seeing. I hope someone is following. And if the eyes are blind, the mind can find other means to see. So invariably, the mind, which is the main device, is what requires more attention than the senses. Now, the mind needs to see possibilities before the eyes can see opportunities. Write that down. The mind needs to see possibilities before the eyes can see opportunities. Because if the mind doesn't have the mental permission that it is possible, your eyes will not see the opportunities that are around you. In other words, the quote goes this quote that goes does that where there is a will, there is a way is very, very important. What you need is not a way. What you need is a will. If you can have a will at the back of your mind, you can get the way. In this group, many people have left because they don't have the will, because they don't have the time, because they can't cope with the demands for many innocent reasons. And I have nothing against them. I absolutely understand. But for many that are staying, you have the will and you are saying to yourself, how am I going to make it past tonight? How am I going to make it past tomorrow? How am I going to make it up to 100 days? What you need is the will. If you can get the will, you can get the way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So back to the mind. The mind needs to be released to dream, be released to believe, be released to see possibilities. Then and only then can the rest of your body begin to look for opportunities to make things. But oftentimes we make the mistake of thinking that we need to see the opportunities around us before we believe. That is why some of us run on a failure code that says seeing is believing. Now, that is a failure code. That code that says seeing is believing is a failure code, because in actual sense you should actually say believing is seeing. If you believe that you can make 1 million naira in 30 days, if you believe it, then you begin to see it. So write it down. Believing is seeing. That is success code. But when it says seeing is believing, that is a failure code. Are you getting it now? So the first thing you need to clear at your mind is believing. You need mental permission. All right. Now that we've cleared the mental permission out of the way, then we now open our mind and we are ready for success codes. How many of us are ready for success codes? I just want you to type, I am ready, I am ready, I am ready, I am ready. All right. Now let's get into it. Let's start with the natural senses. Like I said, the natural senses are like a remote control. With the eyes, let me take off my glasses for a bit. Your eyes, you use the eyes to look, right? And it is when you look that you see. Did you catch that? Your eyes are for looking. Then it is when you look that you see. Then it is when you see, the picture that you see is what is sent to the mind to observe, learn, and download. That's the eyes. Let's go to the tongue, your organ of taste. The tongue is used to taste. And when you taste, what do you get? Do you know that your tongue is also a device for seeing? How many of us know that? That your eyes are not the only device you use to see. Your tongue is also used for seeing. If you look at most animals, like reptiles, for instance, they actually use their tongue to also see, to catch signals. If you look at insects that have antennas and all those things, they use those things to see. No wonder there's a place in scripture that says, taste and see. I'm going somewhere tonight. I'm talking about your natural senses. Your eyes, you use them to look, so that you can see. Your tongue, you use them to taste so that you can see. Good. Your body, your skin, you use it to touch so that you can feel. All right. Your nose, you use it to sniff so that you can smell. Your ears, you use them to hear so that you can listen. Now, you see what your natural senses help you to do. Right from while you were still in your mother's womb at your third trimester, you've been using your eyes to look so that you can see. You've been using your tongue to taste so that you can see. You've been using your nose to sniff so that you can smell. You've been using your body to touch so that you can feel. And you've been using your ears to hear so that you can listen. Now, your natural senses have fed your mind all your life. That is why you are limited to the failure codes that your natural senses have been able to fetch you. But if you really want to succeed, if you really want the new version of yourself, you need to go beyond what you get from your natural senses. Because your natural senses are primitive. And it's so unfortunate that we have depended on our natural senses all our lives. Before you do anything at all, you want to work within something that you can see. Okay, I can see that this thing is happening this way, so I can work with it. We don't engage our supernatural senses. If somebody catches something tonight, for so long we have been engaging our natural senses. But it is time, if you want to engage the success code, your success code is being written on a different set of hardware. Your failure code are written on your natural senses. That is your primitive hardware. But you want to take the stage a step forward and you want to begin to write your success codes on your supernatural senses. And I'm going to be talking about supernatural senses in a bit. But before we go into that, let's dwell on the mind a bit and how it works. Now, for those of us that do a bit of NLP, you understand what I'm talking about here. But I don't want to bore you with technical jargons. I understand NLP all right, but that is not what this program is about. It is a tool that we will use, but I'm going to show you the part that is relevant to you. Let's talk about the mind for a bit. The mind, like I said, is the main device. Just like when you look at the TV and you look at the remote control is not the device. The TV is the device. So oftentimes you use your remote control to manipulate things that happen on the TV. But it doesn't mean that the remote control is the TV because it is possible to misplace the remote control, right? But it doesn't stop the TV from working because if you go to the TV, you can still manipulate it and make it work. Now, let's talk about the TV for a bit because the TV in this analogy is our mind. All right? Now, the mind, there are three levels to accessing the mind based on what we are perceiving at any point in time. I'm sure you must have heard about this thing before, but I'll try to break it down. The first aspect is our conscious mind. And what does it mean to be conscious? You are aware, you are informed, you are conscious. If only I can get better thesaurus. You are in tune with what is going on. And you're saying to say, okay, yeah, I know that this thing is happening right now because I can see it. And okay, yeah, I'm aware. Yes, I'm conscious of it. You know about it. You get. Now, when you take that consciousness and apply it into what the mind says, it is actually talking about what is going on right now. For instance, if I ask you, what are you conscious of? You will tell me you are conscious of the guy you're looking at on the screen right now. You are conscious of the fact that I'm wearing a shirt that is striped, I'm wearing a pair of glasses, and I'm talking. That's what you're conscious of. But the moment I say, What did you have for breakfast? Your mind switches from the guy that is wearing striped t-shirt and wearing glasses and begins to do a scan into your past. Oh, okay, I ate rice. Oh, okay, I ate bread. Oh, okay, I had omelette. Oh, okay, I didn't eat anything. Whatever it is. The moment your mind switches or makes that switch, what that mind is focusing on at that instance of time is your consciousness. If I ask you, what are you doing tomorrow? Immediately your mind is like the pages of a book. If you are here today and I say, okay, open to page 100, your mind just goes and begin to, okay, 100. When you're on 100, that is your consciousness. If I say open to page 75, you begin to like, okay, let me lift back a bit, 75. Where you are at that instance of time is your conscious mind. Does that make sense? So, in other words, your conscious mind is what is going on in your mind at that very moment. And it can only process a few bits of information at a time, sequentially. Your conscious mind cannot multitask. Your conscious mind can only take on a task at a time. And it primarily responds to sensational inputs, which is whatever your natural senses is saying. For instance, you could be in a place now and I say something like, can you perceive that smell? The moment I say, can you perceive that smell? Immediately your mind engages the remote control of your nose to say, nose, go and sniff. What is this guy talking about? Then you begin to go, I can't smell anything. Okay? Or if you weren't conscious of it before, and I ask you about, can you smell wire burning? Then I begin to say, yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Wire is burning. Your mind just shifted its consciousness to focus on burning wire. That is the conscious mind. And it engages the natural senses to tap into that kind of information. I'm going somewhere. Follow me closely. Because once you can hack your mind, you can hack your life. All right? Let's go into the unconscious mind for a bit. The unconscious mind is actually that lifetime memory of the classified programs that are in your mind. Don't forget, I said right from the moment you were in your third trimester, you've been saving all kinds of things in your file, in your hard drive. And your hard drive is like a limitless size. You keep saving, you keep saving, you keep saving, you keep saving. Now, there are some files. We're talking about the unconscious mind a bit. There are some files that as you save them, they go into some permanent folder where they get locked because you don't access them often. Those folder is where you refer to as your unconscious mind because you are never conscious of it at all. There are a lifetime of data that your mind has picked up in the course of its life. The place you grew up in, your parents' hometown, the schools you attended, so many events that have happened in the course of your life, but they are trapped in a folder because you don't need that information often. It keeps them in a place where it just locks them up. It locks them up and they are completely unconscious. They are so unconscious that even if they ask you, do you remember this guy in 1992? You go, vaguely, I can't remember the face, but the name rings a bell and all that. By the time what your mind is doing is looking for the file, it's scanning, scanning, scanning. When it doesn't find the file, it comes back with a file not found. But it doesn't mean that that file does not exist. The file actually exists, but it is trapped in what you call your unconscious mind because you don't need that information. But you need a trigger You need something that can just call up that event or call up that file on demand. And something will just happen. You just say, ah, I remember this thing. And there are some events that you just remember, if like maybe when you were completely a child, maybe when you were 1 year old or 2 year old, even before you began to form consciousness, there could be some things that something will just trigger some memories, and you just be like, I remember one. You now begin to ask your parent that do we used to stay near a railway line? And your parents will be like, yes, yes. How do you know? I'm like, I don't know, but I shall remember something, and I remember one picture of a train, that blah 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 blah. And say, and your parents will be like, how could you possibly remember? Because this thing happened when you were a very, very young. You couldn't have remembered. No, they were actually in the trapped folder of your mind, which is the unconscious folder. Now, don't let me waste too much time on it. Now, in those folder, I'm going to talk about that part in a bit. It requires authorization, like triggers or different things. Yeah. The mental processes to this realm, they run on autopilot. They are completely, they just auto save. I talked about it last week that you don't have the control to even save the things that you're learning. They just go there and they save, and you don't remember them anymore. Most of them, even your dreams, you find that there are so many dreams you dream during the night, you wake up, you don't remember anymore. They are saved in a folder. You just don't know. They are saved in your unconscious folder. They require a deep meditation to tap into them, because in those folders, that is where you also store what I call superior intelligence. I'll get to it in a bit. Let's talk about the subconscious mind. We've talked about the conscious mind, which is what your mind is focusing on at that point in time. We've talked about the unconscious mind, where age-long memories are trapped, and most of them you really don't remember them, even if you try, except you go through some deep trigger or deep meditation, which is not for this class. Now, the subconscious mind is somewhere between the unconscious and the conscious. That is where the subconscious stays. Now, the subconscious mind is also a large lifetime memory of programs, of codes, of things that are going on in our lives. Yeah. But they are easily accessible on demand. Because the truth of the matter is, the mind cannot multitask. So it is what is relevant, like what you are listening to right now, that it focuses on a conscious level. But when it needs something, for instance, while I'm going on through this conversation, if I just pause for a moment and say 2 times 2, you hesitate for like a millisecond, then you say 4. Now, where did you get that 4 from? You got it from your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the accessible drive. It is also infinite, but it is accessible. So when you need something, when you want to tap into something, you go into your subconscious mind. It is accessible, it is on demand. Now, much more, it's more powerful than the conscious mind. But there is so much file in that subconscious mind that you need extra effort to tap into them. Why am I going through all this today? Is because I want you to understand that if you want to begin to write your success codes, you need to know where those codes are being saved. It is very important. Or else you will be operating from the folder that has been giving you the same old results. And I'm sure you don't want the same old results, you want new results. So you need to learn to know how to tap into the places where you get new results. All right, let's move forward. Now, the mind by nature, listen to this. The mind sees both imagination and reality as the same thing. Don't forget, your eye is not your mind. You remember, your eyes are just a tool that you use to see. Your tongue is a tool that you use to see. Your mind only collects information that the eye gives. Your mind only collects information that the nose gives. Wire is burning. Mm, mm. Wire is burning around there. Now begin to trace it. What your nose is doing is giving information to the mind. And it is whatever information that the mind receives that the mind believes. Write that down. Thank you, moderator. Whatever information the mind receives, the mind believes. Please put that down. Whatever information that the mind receives, the mind believes. So if the mind can believe whatever it receives, then you can actually control what your mind receives. Does that make sense? You have your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of savor, your sense of skin, your sense of smell, all those things. But you're asking yourself, how do you use them to feed your mind properly? And that is what we are trying to deal with even in this program. That when you begin to receive something better, you begin to behave in a better way. So whatever information the mind receives, the mind believes. Now, what you can now do, imagine that I said at the beginning that your mind is like the host of a party. So your eyes is a bouncer, your ear is a bouncer, your nose is a bouncer, your taste, your tongue is a bouncer, your skin is a bouncer. All of them are security guards at the gate of your party. And they are the ones filtering what comes into you. But you can now go ahead and say, you know what? Eyes, step aside. Nose, step aside. Tongue, step aside. Ears, step aside. Skin, step aside. Because I want this mind, I want to receive the information myself. I don't want to receive the information through my natural senses. I want to start receiving this information through my supernatural senses. Now, that is the hack, my friends. On your journey into becoming a new me, the new me must begin to receive information differently. Moderator, please write that down. The new me must begin to receive information differently. All right? And I'll go through that in a bit. And this is where I want to spend a good chunk of the time. All right? Now, let me make a bit of an analogy for you. I'm going to share this with you after the session in the WhatsApp group. But let me just go through it now so that you can see what we're talking about in a bit. Is that okay? Okay, great. So, talking about um or should I just share it in the group so that okay, let me just make a presentation. I'll just share it. Just listen to me as I speak, and after that I'll share the details in the group so that you can have a clearer picture of what I'm talking about. All right? In the universe is the world around us. Not just the world around us, it goes beyond the planets. I'm sure you know what the universe is. Multiples of planets, the moons, the stars, the constellations, the Milky Way. The observable universe is extensive. And that's not even what we're going to be talking about today. But I just want you to understand how this so-called remote control that you have given the responsibility of feeding your mind all your life, this is how it works. All over the universe, all over the air around you, they are what you call at quantum physics. This is science. You call them waves. You call them vibrations. Things that you really cannot see with your naked eyes, but you know they are there. I mean, when breeze is blowing and it hits your skin can feel it, but your eyes cannot see it. There are some air is odorless. Your nose cannot smell it, but you know that it's there. There are some things your mouth can taste, but your eyes cannot see it. But somehow, somewhere, you know they are there. And the mind gets to use a combination of these five senses to kind of get information from the universe. Waves, vibrations. They feed the natural intelligence and they feed the mind. Now, there is another source, your supernatural senses. What they do is what we call revelation because they unveil what the natural senses do not see. Revelation is not a spiritual word. Let's get that clear. Revelation is not a religious word. Let's get that clear. Revelation just simply means to reveal. That means to uncover. What your eyes couldn't see, Revelation sees it. What your tongue couldn't see, Revelation sees it. What your nose couldn't smell, Revelation sees it, smells it. What your body couldn't feel, Revelation feels it. So it's just like using a microscope to see what your observable eyes couldn't see. That is what Revelation does, but it does it on a completely different level. All right? So listen to this. I said at the beginning that you actually use your eyes to look so that when you look, you see. But thus far, that is the limit of your natural senses. If you want to take it a step further, you now need to use your eyes to look so that when you look, you see. The mind sees. Now, when the mind sees, what it sees is sight. You now begin to move from sight to insight. Moderator, please write that down. When you move from sight to insight, then you are switching from natural intelligence to supernatural intelligence or superior intelligence. Sight to insight. Let's take the next one. When you move from smell to inspiration, you're moving from natural intelligence to superior intelligence. When you move from smell to inspiration. Number three, when you move from savor to intuition, you are upgrading from natural intelligence to superior intelligence. When you move from savor, which is to taste, to intuition, you are moving from natural to supernatural. Then the next one is when you are moving from sound to instruction. That is an upgrade from your natural senses to your supernatural senses. From sound to instruction. And the fifth one is when you are moving from skin, which is what your body feels. You're moving from skin to instinct. That is the upgrade from natural intelligence. Now that we've written these five things, imagine you've written that from sight to insight, from smell to inspiration. Inspiration is a breaking down of two or three words. Inspire. To spire means to breathe into something. So the noun of breathing into something goes beyond you using your natural nose. Now you are breathing, you're getting down, you're downloading the data directly from an infinite intelligence. That is inspiration. Then when you're moving from savor to intuition, you're moving from sound to instruction, and you're moving from skin to instinct. That is when you move to your superior senses. Now, what do these things have in common? What all these things have in common is very simple. Your success code, listen to me closely. Your success code is not outside. Your success code is inside. Did somebody catch that? We've spent all our lives turning on our antenna, turning on our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, body, looking for signals, looking for information out there, thinking that success is out there. but we spent a lifetime downloading failure codes. Your success code is actually the other way around. You find that all those five things that we mentioned, they have one thing in common: in, 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 insight. That means you are seeing from inside your mind. That is the sense of sight, no longer your natural sense. That is why oftentimes you realize that even blind people outperform people that can see with their natural eyes, because your natural eyes is just a remote control. It can go bad, but you need to see with your mind. When you see with your mind, it is insight. When you breathe, when you sniff with your heart, it is inspiration. When you taste and see with your mouth, it is intuition. Have you ever thought about it? What does tuition means? To teach. So when you are teaching yourself from within, then you're actually using your mind sense to taste. The third one, which is the sound, is instruction. That means what are codes? Codes are instructions, right? Programs, commands, laws, guidelines. That's what instructions are. But the instructions that will guide you to success, they are not outside, they are inside. And the fifth one, which is what you feel, your feelings. I'm not feeling good today. I'm feeling this way. In fact, those feeling that you're talking about is not the same as your nervous feeling. It's a kind of feeling. We're coming to that in a bit. That is your instinct. Now, by the time you combine your insight, your inspiration, your intuition, your instruction, and your instinct, by the time you combine them together, you are loaded with superior intelligence. Hmm. Oh my goodness. I hope someone is catching what I'm dropping tonight. What you need to succeed is not what your eyes can show you. It's not what your nose can sniff you. It's not what your tongue can taste you. It's not what your skin can feel you. It's not what your ears can hear to you, listen to you. It is in the things that you actually tune in from within. So I want you to put it in the comments. Tune in. Tunein. Tune in. If you're feeling me tonight, I want you to say tune in. Now, let's take it a step further. Now, if you have gotten your success code downloaded into your mind, whether through your subconscious, your conscious, or your unconscious means, however way it is, you now have a loaded mind. It is from that loaded mind, I want you to write this down, that you now begin to get your intellect, your volition, and your emotion. Oh my goodness. I hope people can catch what I'm dropping tonight. Please don't take what I'm teaching for granted. If you get this superior intelligence, they affect your intellect, your volition, and your emotion. What is your intellect? It is your competence level. What is your volition? Your willpower. Don't forget, I said where there's a will, there's a way. Willpower, that is your seat of mental permission. Volition, where you make a decision to say, I want to go for this goal or I don't want to go for this goal. That is your volition. Then your emotion speaks to all your energy that is in motion. That's what emotion is: energy, emotion. And I don't want to talk much about energy tonight because we don't even have the time. We've already done 59 minutes already, but you guys have asked me to go beyond 1 hour. I will try as much as possible not to take much of your time, but I'll get somewhere tonight before we begin to unlock other things in subsequent classes. So when you now have your intellect, your volition, which is your willpower, and your emotions, the combination of these three things is what manifests in our thoughts. Did you catch that? So your thoughts are not just random things that happen. Your thoughts are actually a combination of things that have a backstory, that have been coming forth in your mind to manifest in thoughts, the things that you think about. And science has made us to understand that an average adult thinks 80,000, up to 80,000 thoughts per day. 80,000 thoughts. But guess what? A good chunk of those thoughts are stored in maybe two of the folders. Remember your conscious folder? Sorry, your unconscious folder stores most of the thoughts. Your subconscious stores a good chunk of the thoughts, and only a few of your thoughts are stored on the conscious mind. For instance, if anybody just jolts you now to say, a penny for your thoughts, what's on your mind? You say, huh? Then you not think about it. What am I thinking about? Oh, is the last thing that you're thinking about that you remember. That is what's on your conscious mind. But the truth of the matter is, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts are going racing through your mind that you don't even know about. Thousands and thousands of thoughts are going through your mind that you don't even know about. For all of them, you need to begin to track the sources of all these thoughts. Because when your thoughts are combined together, it is a combination of your thoughts that results in your feelings. Hmm. Hmm. I feel good is a function of thoughts you have. I don't feel like it today. It's a function of the thoughts you have. I feel depressed. It's a function of the thoughts you have. Ah, I feel excited. It's a function of the thoughts you have. Ah, I'm feeling lonely. It's a function of the thoughts you have. So any feeling that you are manifesting is a function of the thoughts that are going through your mind. Write that down. Now, it is a combination of your feelings that results in your beliefs. Ah, a combination of your feelings results in your belief. For instance, the things that you believe are all a function of the things that your mind has told you all your life. The sky is blue, water is wet, fire is hot, this is that, da, 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 da. They are all a function of experience. And they've gone through all this process I've been talking about for you to believe them. And like I said, your behavior is driven by your beliefs. The things that you do are born out of the things that you believe, your belief system. You are in this program right now because you believe that this program can work for you. Many of you don't know me, but some of you just took a chance on yourself and said, you know what, maybe I'll just give this guy a thought and just listen to him and hear what he has to say. And somewhere along the line, he said some things that resonated with you, and you're like, you know what, I think I believe what this guy is saying. Maybe I'm going to align myself with it. Your behavior is driven by your beliefs. Your beliefs is a combination of your feelings. Your feelings are a combination of your thoughts, and your thoughts are a combination of your intellect, volition, and emotion that has been fed into your mind. Let's take it to the next layer. Your decisions are a result of your beliefs. I repeat that. Your decisions are a result of your beliefs. If you decide to set this goal, if you decide to invest in this business, if you decide to buy this thing, if you decide to hold on to the money you have, if you decide to go out tomorrow, if you decide to stay home tomorrow, that decision is a function of your belief. Your decisions are driven by your beliefs. Thank you, moderator. Now, your actions are a result of your decisions. So you can see the steps now. We've moved from thoughts to feelings, from feelings to beliefs, from beliefs to decisions, from decisions to actions. Your actions are fueled by your decisions. Nobody acts without deciding. Even when you move your head and you're moving your head to a musical beat that is beaten, you thought about it, you decided, and before you know what's happening, consciously or unconsciously, you started moving your head, you started dancing. Every move you make, everything you do, every action is fueled by your decision. I want you to write down in the comments and in your notebook, watch your power moves. Watch your power moves. They are very important. Watch your power moves. In your workbook, there's a place there that talks about your power moves for the day. It is very important. Tonight, after this session, while you're planning for tomorrow, you need to think through your power moves thoroughly because your power moves are super important. They are fueled by your decisions because a combination of your actions is what results in a habit. Did you get that? A combination of your action is what results in a habit. We said this is going to be 100 days challenge, but the truth of the matter is, it doesn't end in 100 days. It doesn't mean once you get to 100 days, you go back to your old you. No, the 100 days is just to create the momentum. You know, like those generators that they use hand to wind. Bam, 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 brrr. You're setting into motion the lifestyle that will control your success for the rest of your life. So that by the time psychology says it takes 21 days for an average adult to cultivate a habit. And we've been on this journey now. Today is day what? We're almost at day 20 and we are making progress. By the time you continue this thing, you start a habit in 21 days. You consolidate that habit in 60 days. By the time you go to 90 days, you would have mastered that habit. Did you get that? You start a habit in 21 days, you consolidate it in 60 days, you master it in 90 days. By the time you get to 90 days and you are doing the same thing consistently, it will become a lifestyle. So we mentioned that your power moves, which are your actions, are fueled by your decisions. Now, your habits, moderator, please put it down. Your habit is a combination of your consistent actions. Your habits is a combination of your consistent actions. It is very, very important. Your habit is a combination of your consistent actions. Bruce Lee said something. He said, I don't fear a man that can give that can give 10,000 kicks. He said, I fear the man that can give one kick 10,000 times. I repeat that. He said, I don't fear a man that can give 10,000 kicks. He said, I fear the man that can give one kick 10,000 times. That means every day you show up, one kick, boom. Tomorrow you show up, another kick, boom. Another day you show up consistently without fail. So the success code you must have in mind before we go into the meat of it, I'm just laying the foundation, is that success is not about intensity. Success is about consistency. Write that down. Success is not about intensity. I want to be the best today. Oh, I want this workbook. Oh, I want everything is just lip service. But how far can you go? How long can you sustain your desire? The things that you want, are they just lip service, or are you willing to give it your everything to get it? Consistency. It is when you now continue on a consistent basis that is when you now land at the final one, which is called manifestation. Manifestation. Before we started this session, I shared a teaser in the group, a YouTube video, which was a compilation of different celebrities, and they're talking about how they manifested the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction as a subject has been grossly abused, and I'll tell you why. And maybe this is where we'll adjourn for today. I don't want us to take us much time, but I hope you guys are getting value today, though. Let me know. The law of attraction is not only about saying, I want a jet, 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 I want a jet. I want a jet. And yeah, you just get a phone call and they say you have a jet. That is not the law of attraction. That is the abuse of the law of attraction. The law of attraction is what I've actually been talking about for the last 1 hour. The law of attraction is how to understand what your mind receives as information and believes in, then now begins to coordinate the body on a set line of action plans that will lead you towards making it happen. And that is what we're going to be talking about next week. Manifestation. There are 7 steps to manifestation, and that's what I'm going to be talking about next week. But I just thought to use today to lay the foundation for success code. That the success code is actually on your mind. Anything that you want, you can have. But the question is, do you have the mind to contain it? Do you have the mental permission to receive it? The truth of the matter is, most of us, in fact, all of us are where we are today because of what we can allow in our minds. Many of us, our mouth wants $1 billion, but our mind doesn't understand what our mouth is saying. Ah, did someone just catch what I said? Many of us want the best of life, but the truth of the matter is, our mind doesn't understand what the mouth is saying. And it is until there is an alignment between our mind and our body, we can't manifest the goals that we want. We will jump from crusade to crusade. We will share all the what God cannot do does not exist YouTube videos from now to rapture. We will share all the NLP prayer YouTube video from now to rapture. You're not getting it. Those things are like triggers. But what are you doing with the trigger? It's not how many times you spend in camp. It's not how many times you spend on the mountain. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. What are you doing on the path to progress? What codes are you running on? Many of us are on the mountain. You have like a gallon of anointing oil. You poured like a drum of anointing oil all over your head. Meanwhile, the program, the code that is running on your hard drive, they are failure codes. It will work. And you're not jealous of the guy that doesn't seem to be working as hard as you, that doesn't even subscribe to the God that you subscribe to, but the guy just knows the success code and is cashing out. And you're jealous. Why are you jealous? You're running on the wrong code, bro. Change your code. Don't let religion rob you. Religion is the opium of the masses. Be a person of faith, but understand how life works. These are principles. It's just like gravity. It doesn't matter how many spirituality you subscribe to. You can't defy the law of gravity. These are laws. You must understand the laws of nature. You must understand the law of attraction, how it actually works. So you don't abuse it. What do you need to do to attract the things that you want? And the things that you want is not only in the things that you do. I shared somewhere yesterday, I said it starts with hard work. There will be things that you will do physically. Then you have to upgrade to smart work. There will be things that you do automatically. Then you need to upgrade to network. There are things that you will do relationally. There are levels to these things, guys. If every success you have is every success that you have used your hand to get to yourself, you are poor. If you want real success, you need smart work, you need automation, then you need network, you need relationships. But we're going to be touching them gradually. But I hope I'm doing well in just laying the foundation so that you can begin to understand how these things work. What I want you to do, I want you to go back and watch this video. because I'm sure you might not catch everything even at one view. And for those that miss it, please go back on the group and tell them, Kai, you need to watch this video. You need to watch it again and again. You need to watch it again and again. So, manifestation in itself is a combination of so many amazing things. But your hard drive, your hardware must be correct. Your hardware must be correct. If you are running old programs on your new hardware, it's like old wine in new wine skin or new wine in old wine skin. Either way, they will be incompatible. The program will not run. You need to upgrade your software. You also need to upgrade your hardware. Like I said, I'm going to be juxtaposing between the analogy of a computer and the analogy of a human mind. That is exactly what we're talking about. You need to upgrade your hardware, which is your mind, and depend less on your remote control. Many of us depend so much on our remote control. You press, you press, you press. The day that the remote control now fails you, you think that the problem is with the device. The problem has been with your remote control all along. You've been depending on your eyes too much. You've been depending on your nose too much. You've been depending on your tongue too much. You've been depending on your ears too much. You've been depending on your skin too much. It's time to start tuning in to tap into some amazing, infinite wealth of ideas, opportunities, instructions, intuitions, inspiration, so many things that will blow your mind. We're going to be talking about meditation along the line. That is how to tune in. That is how to tap into the infinite intelligence that is within. But you need to drown all the noise that is outside, because out there is full of failure codes, the price of fuel, low purchasing power. Tinubu is not good. Oh, Buhari is worse. Oh, will the next president be great? And then all those are distractions that will only make you a failure. I'm not cursing, don't get me wrong, but you need to ditch those programs. Those codes were never designed to make you succeed. And you need to start tuning in, because inside of you, you have a completely different economy that doesn't respond to the economy of your environment, of your country. You have infinite resources. Your creator, God, is not broke. Let's start from there. I shared it somewhere yesterday that God is not broke. If you can just let that sink in for a bit, then you begin to ask yourself, if God that created me is not broke, why am I feeling broke? Why am I broke? Why am I manifesting brokenness when I'm not a bastard? You need to upgrade. You need to upgrade. Your success code, in summary, it is that programming that guarantees success. Like I said, I don't want to take much of your time. I've gone 18 minutes beyond time, but I want you to go back. You can go through the comments. The moderator has done a fantastic job, and please help us celebrate that fixed picture. Celebrate the moderator tonight. Has done a fantastic job. Just go back and scroll through all the content in the comment section, and take the one that resonates with you. And I want you to jump into the WhatsApp group and begin to explode with how tonight has been for you. If tonight indeed has been an eye opener on your journey into discovering the new you, the part that resonated with you, if it's one part, if it is two, if it is three, if it is four, it is five, because I know I dropped quite a bit. I want you to go back to WhatsApp and explode the chat room with the things that you felt, and make sure people come back and watch. I mean, for you to get what we've shared in this 1 hour thereabout, you need to watch this at the very least 2 times. At the very least 2 times. Because what I learned And what I'm sharing, I didn't learn it in one day. I didn't learn it in 1 month. I didn't learn it in 1 year. So if I'm giving it to you in 1 hour and you think watching it once is enough, you're joking. Repetition breeds retention. You need to keep chewing it in again and again. So, on that note, I want you to wrap up on the comment section by simply just typing, I am tuning in. I am tuning in. And if you've enjoyed this video, I want you to like it. And please don't forget to subscribe. Many of us are watching, but we've not subscribed because the amount of people in the room is not the same as those that have subscribed. Please don't forget, subscribe. I am tuning in. So on that note, we're going to be wrapping up for tonight, adjourning, and we're going to be continuing on the success code next week, but it's going to be focusing more on manifestation. All right. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful evening with everyone, and I've enjoyed myself, and I hope you have as well. And I just want you to be the very best version of yourself. I am tuning in. So head to the WhatsApp room and begin to pump it out there. I am tuning in. I am engaging my insights inside of my site. Everything that I've worked for you, everything that you've learned, even from tonight's session, go back to the WhatsApp group and begin to populate it. All right. Love you guys. See you in the WhatsApp group. Cheers.